Megasthenes Indica is a comprehensive historical antiquity work that even predates the rock and pillar edicts of Ashoka the Great. The book explores the geographical landscape of ancient India, including its rivers, mountains, and climate, as well as socio commercial aspects of India's economy, including the caste system, trade, agriculture, the use of elephants, and Mauryan wealth. Megasthenes, a Greek historian, diplomat, and geographer, traveled with Alexander the Great before joining the court of Seleucus Nicator, the founder of the Seleucid Empire in Asia Minor, Syria, Mesopotamia, and the Iranian plateau after the wars of Diadochi or succession between Alexander's generals. He visited Patliputra, the seat of Mauryan Empire, as ambassador of Seleucus around 300 BC, while the Mauryan Empire was in power, and wrote down Indica, an encyclopedic account of ancient Indian society and its culture. Despite its importance, the book is lost, and we know it only from fragments, sometimes quite extensive, quoted by later Greek historians and authors Strabo, Diodorus, and Arrian. Although incomplete, Indica is a vital and earliest historical source for ancient India because it provides valuable information about a period not well documented in Indian sources. Megasthenes describe India as a vast and right-angled triangle shape with the Himalayas forming the hypotenuse and the Ganges River and its tributaries playing a crucial role in supporting agriculture and trade. He noted the diverse Indian climate, rich biodiversity, abundance of plant life, and many navigable rivers. He divided India into several regions, including India with the Ganges and India beyond the Ganges. He also provided information about major cities and urban centers, particularly Patliputra, the present day Patna, as a grand and well planned city and the capital of the Mauryan Empire. Megasthenes explain in detail how Indian society was divided into seven groups, starting with the first philosophers, who were highly respected and stateless. They understand prophecy for prediction about various events and receive gifts and honors for their devotion of the gods. The second vital division was farmers, who focus on agriculture, appear to be the largest, and are exempted from military or state duties. No one harms a country farmer because he is a benefactor to all. They farm and pay taxes to the king and autonomous cities. If war breaks out, warring parties do not touch the tillers or destroy the land. But while the groups are fighting and killing each other, farmers are peacefully plowing, picking fruit, pruning, or harvesting. So the land remains unravaged and provides abundant food for the people. Farmers never leave their rural homes, and as all of India was royal land, they paid rent as one quarter to the king. The third division was the cowherds, shepherds, and other pastoralists who live in tents, pay taxes on their animals, and hunt to keep the country free of damaging animals and birds. The fourth were craftsmen and tradesmen, including river sailors and shipwrights, who have public duties and pay taxes on their products. The fifth class was warriors, second in number to farmers, but having more freedom and a higher standard of living. They exclusively do military drills and are paid with the public cash. The sixth division was overseers, who supervise and investigate everything happening in cities and the country and report to the king or authorities in autonomous cities. The seventh division is the community deciding deliberative assembly, which provides the king's counsellors, judges, treasurers, military and naval commanders, and supervisor of agriculture. It is not legal for a man either to marry a wife from another group or to change his pursuit or type of work from one to another. All the Indians are free men, and there is no such thing as a slave. They were frugal, keeping order, rarely stealing, and living well with simple diets. They preferred massages for exercises and admired ornaments of gold and silver. Elephants had a multifaceted role in ancient Indian society, which Megasthenes deliberated on in detail. They were important for military use, royalty and power symbolism, ceremonial and religious significance, economic importance, hunting, and entertainment. Megasthenes, in minute detail, described their method of capture, domestication, use in transportation, construction, and war. He distinguished clearly between wild and domestic elephants with their use in specific ways. Wild elephants were hunted, tamed, and used in various ways, but domesticated elephants were trained for military or ceremonial roles. Elephants take 16 years to reach adulthood. Therefore, it was uneconomic to breed elephant as they needed to be fed at considerable expenses for 16 unproductive years. And the fast way to acquire a herd was by capturing and taming wild elephants, whose process Megasthenes inscribed in a detail. This period saw significant elephant trade, and Megasthenes noted that India exports elephants for various uses. Megasthenes describes two types of philosophers, the Brahmins and the Germans. The Brahmins had a much higher reputation because they were more consistent in their doctrines. Even while they are in the womb, they are under the care of learned men who go to the mother under the pretext of singing incantation to promote an easy birth, but in fact to provide them with the advice and precepts. After the birth, a series of different men undertake the care of these children who, as they grew older at each stage, received the most suitable teachers. They live in the group outside the city, abstaining from sex, and after 37 years, they return to their property where they live in a freer and more relaxed way. They marry as many women as possible to produce plentiful children and more serious offspring. The Brahmins were very particular about guarding their knowledge, and they even did not discuss philosophy with their wedded wives on the grounds that if they were of low character, they might reveal some forbidden secret to the profane, whereas if they were reflective women, they might abandon them. The Germans were honored forest dwellers who lived in forest on leaves and wild fruits, clothed in the bark of trees and without sex or wine. They associate with the kings who inquire about the causes of things, worship and make petition to the divine. After them, the second in honor were the physicians, who looked like philosophers of the humanity and were plain living men. There were others who were diviners, enchanters, and others who were experienced in the prayers and ritual for the dead. The Megasthenes experience was undergoing a second urbanization. When in the Ganges plain and in the Gandhara area, growing agriculture surpluses, the development of iron technology, and the extensive trading network that crisscrossed the whole subcontinent led to the coalescence of settlements into villages, towns, and cities. Patliputra, the city of flowers, known as Pataliputra in Greek sources, was the largest city among the Indians. Situated near the eastern side of the confluence of the Son and Ganges River, the city was shaped like a parallelogram and spread over around 50 square kilometers with a 180-meter wide and 30 cubic feet ditch around the city wall, which includes 570 towers and 64 gates pierced with the loopholes for firing arrows. The city walls of Patliputra were identified at the excavation at Kumrar in present-day Patna, Bihar, that exposed the remains of central area of the city. The timber rampart was excavated in 1927 and consisted of a double line 4-meter wide with an earth infill. Patliputra went beyond other contemporary Indian cities by including stone in its architecture. The roof of the huge audience hall was supported by 80 sandstone pillars. The surviving one exists the beautiful Mauryan polish. Most of the other structures were made of wood, including the column bases and the passageway over 75-meter long. The city had inspectors responsible for artisans, accommodation of foreigners, registrar of birth and deaths, retail trade and barter, craftsmen products, and those who collect 10% sell tax. After the city inspectors, there was a joint administration concerned with the military matters divided into 6 groups. Megasthenes write about natural history, human geography, mythography, folk tales, and also the avant-garde paradoxography of the gold guarding ants, the mouthless one and doghead, the reverse-footed men, the monstrous races, and others. However, his omissions are also surprising. Besides woman's life, there is nothing on religious ideas or practices. Further, difficulty has also been found in assessing Megasthenes as an informant on the Mauryan kingdom. This arises in relation to the Arthashastra of Kautilya, who is identified with the apparently historical personage Chanakya, who is known from the Jain tradition as the kingmaker of Chandragupta Maurya, and wrote the Arthashastra as a guide for the king in the administration of his empire. The Arthashastra is an Indian text, and some scholar believes it is a description of the Mauryan polity, while others believe it is a normative account of how things should be. The date of text is also disputed, and no texts were written down until several centuries after Megasthenes' date. Some scholars view the work as belonging to a later period, while others presume a core dating back to Mauryan times. However, Kautilya accounts is more descriptive, as it describes how things should be, not necessarily how they are. However, Megasthenes Indica was the first written account about ancient India in any language and is valuable not only to the classical scholars with an interest in Hellenistic history and cultural attitude, but also to the people interested in the early authentic history of who have had to rely on these scattered and dated collection of evidences.